Hey guys, so I wanted to share a story I found today with you guys. I heard it on the radio this morning and I figured I'd look into it. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoy. It says here, on April 2019, a woman named Carmen Maria had gone over to her neighbor's house asking her to hide a box of sex toys for her because her husband has gone missing. She then proceeds to tell the neighbor that the sex toys were a birthday present from her husband, and that the police were eventually going to be coming to her house to investigate to what happened to her husband. So she would much rather leave them here to save her the embarrassment, she says. The neighbor eventually agrees, but doesn't bother looking inside of the box and stores it in her home for months. When the police eventually get around to going to Carmen's house to find out what happened to her husband, it says here that Carmen Maria had told the police that her husband had taken $13,000 out of their bank account and that he was going to leave her. He's going on vacation and that he wants nothing to do with her. The police then ask Carmen, "Well, have you heard anything from him?" She says, "No, I haven't been able to talk to him because he said that he had dropped his phone in the bathtub and it's no longer working." But later on, I did get a text from some weird number saying that it was him. The police ask her for the phone number so they can follow up. They eventually follow up on the phone number, and to no surprise, no answer. So the police wait until they hear something else. But eventually, on April 2019, the neighbor had said that she had discovered an awful stench in her home, which she then tracked it down to be coming from that box that Carmen had given her a few months prior. The neighbor alerts police and tells them what she has discovered. She tells the story of how Carmen had come over a few months prior, telling them her of a story of how her husband has gone missing and the police are going to be coming over to investigate, and she doesn't want to be embarrassed when they find that box of toys, and asked me to watch after it for her. But I never looked in the box, and a few months later I start smelling this awful smell, and here we are. The police follow this up with getting an arrest warrant for Carmen Marino for the murder of her husband, and also put out a search to search all the landfills for the rest of Jesus's body. They are not able to find his body, but they were able to identify him with the one tooth that was left in his head. Carmen is put on trial, where she pleads not guilty and tries to pin it on the neighbor and the victim's brother, saying that she had the box and that she had nothing to do with it. The jury meets and comes to an agreement that Carmen was a willing participant in the murder of her husband and that she had killed him because she was the beneficiary of her husband's estate. The homicide was a crime of pure greed, so she was sentenced to 12 and a half to 15 years in prison, which, if you ask me, is not enough time. I think she should have been in prison for life. And the whole story of her husband going on vacation is a little suspect, you know. But honestly, if you ask me what happened, I think that Carmen got into a fight with her husband and got sick of waiting for him to die and decided while he was sleeping to go chop his head off. And then thought, oh, well, if I put the head in a box and, tell the neighbor that it's sex toys, she's not going to want to look in it because she thinks it's gross. And then when the neighbor finally discovers that there's a head in the box, that, the police will point the finger at her. But obviously, that didn't work because they could probably tell, that the victim was, you know, she wasn't lying about, oh yeah, this lady came over and gave me, a head in a box. I think obviously she would have called the police right then and there, unless, maybe the neighbor was involved and maybe they weren't able to connect enough dots to, put her in prison too. I don't know, the whole story's kind of suspect to me, but if you guys have any ideas of what have happened, I'd like to hear them in the comments, and you know point me in the direction of any other stories you might want me to cover. Thank you guys.